Hey, Doug Upstone here for Vegas Pro Insiders Daily, and it's Friday, which means we got football coming right at you. Had a real dull burger last night with that Cincinnati game, huh? Jeez, boy, they look bad. Wow, just not good. 2 home games wasted, so it could be a long year for the Bengals. Not sure about Marvin Lewis's future. So anyways, about that, Vegas Pro Insider Daily. Hey, we got a big weekend ahead, both college, pro, the whole works. So we're gonna get into it here. In terms of free picks, not 1, not 2, not 5, not even 10. We got 12 of them for you right now, an even dozen. 12 free picks coming your way here. Now we're going to keep it going like we have on Fridays. We're going to introduce some new line moves that occurred and give you the free picks on those. Plus then go back over the other games that we had from the other day and see where those lines have gone and give you the free picks for those. And we'll be going over that in a second. Hey, one thing I got to tell you, excited about the weekend. Really like this card. Myself personally, you can become a Vegas Pro Insider Daily member for only $39.99 a month. You're going to get all of my picks. You're going to get Wise Guy Plays, which off a very strong 3-in-1 day yesterday. Super systems continue to roll. I just got some new in-season systems. I think there's like 14 picks. How that system, and it's 18-10 on the year, so it's off to a very good start. So I have that. You can get all this, $39.99 a month, or if you want to upgrade it to the Inner Circle package, you can get picks. You can get all of that, plus picks from top picks from Kyle Hunter, Jim Mack, Sean Higgs, and Dennis Macklin, all coming your way. Tremendous deal. Either way, so we'll get enough about that. Let's get to some free picks, shall we? So we'll start with the newer games that we have. We're going to start off with Michigan and Air Force. That game is going to be in Ann Arbor. I believe it's a high noon game, as I recall. So that should be interesting, and it's going to be on the Big Ten Network. Now, Michigan's Wilson Sprite, he has not played well. He's had problems throwing either out of the pocket or when he's had pressure into his face. So they've been all the things on the different websites about Michigan has said back to basics for Sprite this week. So for Spite, not Sprite, for Spite this week. So with that, the bettors, though, are not all that enamored with what they're seeing out of Michigan offensively, and they've taken the total down from 54 to 50, and the Wolverines from minus 26 down to minus 23. I think that these adjustments are correct. And it makes it much more difficult to make picks on this game. So what I'm going to do, I just have leans on Michigan in the over. I think Michigan is strong enough. I think they can disrupt the Air Force option offense, and then I think there'll just be enough points scored. It's not going to kill it in terms of going, way over 50, but I think it'll just be enough. Okay, next up, another game, big game. Woo! Louisville and Clemson. That's going to be a dandy. I'm looking forward to that. I think that's the top game of the week, and obviously it's on ABC as a primetime telecast, so that speaks for itself. Now in this one, the total has come down on this ACC game from 61 down to 58, and you would think that would favor Clemson because Clemson is the better defensive team, so if you're thinking of the side, I mean, at least in theory, that would make sense because the Louisville defense is not all that hot, and in particular one aspect, which I will get to here in a second. But you know what? In terms of this total, I just cannot get over the fact that last year's game was 42 to 36. Louisville winning and literally winning at the very end and holding Clemson winning at the very end, and Louisville being right down there to score, maybe to win the game outright. So I think Lamar Jackson at home, I think he's going to have a really good game yet again. He's been terrific so far this season. I don't think that's going to change. And I think the Tigers can definitely take advantage of the 123rd rated pass defense from Louisville. I like the over. The 58, all over the over. Okay. Next up, let's see. Where do we got? Tulsa, Toledo. That's what it was. And in this one, these two teams can score. Now, the total has actually come down from 74 to 68. And the reason that it has is because the Rockets have only given up 18 points per game in their first 2 games. However, Tulsa is scoring 45 points a game. Toledo's at 42. Now, the thing you have to understand about Tulsa, if you saw them play in their first game against Oklahoma State, they want to play fast. The idea, they want to snap the ball as quickly as possible, line up. So their goal is to at least always have 90 snaps per game. If they approach anything close to that, they're going to wear out Toledo's defense. I mean, and they're going to end up making some mistakes. So I like this game to go over the 68, and I would not be surprised if a minimum of 70 points are scored in this game. Finally, the other newer game that we have for you is San Jose and Utah. Now, in this one, the total went from 53 to 59. Now, Utah has it across the board. Size, experience, athletic ability, you name it, okay, they have it. And so with that total going up from 53 to 59, I think what you're going to see here is that from the standpoint of Utah, they're having some red zone issues at the present time. If you watch the BYU game, they moved the ball, okay, very well the entire game. They just didn't score touchdowns. And so I think could manifest itself here again. Now, this is a perfect opportunity for them to work those kinks out before they start Pac-12 play next week. So maybe that all works out, but I'm just not so sure. Off the big game, conference game coming up next for the Utes, this could be kind of a flat spot for them. I think I could see a 38-13 score with Utah winning, finally getting an end zone more often, but I think it's going to go well under the 59. So that's my pick on that one. So let's start looking now back at some of the games that we talked about on Tuesday in reference to, some line moves, and now we'll, hand out some free picks. How's that sound? Okay, I'm on board for that. First up was Kansas and Ohio University. Now, this was a really strange line move in terms of the total. It started at 59, and it went down to 52, and I ended up checking a couple of sites. There was a variance, let's just put it that way, okay? But I do know right now, and then as of Wednesday, the total was at 58, and that's where it stayed. So I'm not really sure if it ever really did go to 52. Some sites said yes, some sites said no, from what their initial ones are, because they do change some things from time to time. So that's what happened. At 58, I really didn't. I like the over to begin with. Not a big play, more of a lean on that one, anyways. So I'll just continue along with that same thinking here. And there's an odd thing though about this game in terms of if the actual initial information was true. If you go to the website VegasProInsiderDaily.com, look at the betting trend. It doesn't make sense as to what's been happening, but that's the way it is. Hey, I like the over in that game. Next up, Wisconsin and BYU. Now, Wisconsin went from 13 to 17 in like a heartbeat on Tuesday morning. And as it turns out, there wasn't initial information on this, at least publicly, but it was later determined that Tanner Mangum, their quarterback, he had a walking boot on after the BYU game, and so he's listed as doubtful. He still is listed as doubtful, but so the spread hasn't changed much. Wisconsin just dropped slightly to 16.5. I was thinking about BYU to begin with, but now with no Tanner Mangum, even though he hasn't played all that well, there's no way I could take BYU. So I'm going to lean with Wisconsin on that one. Next up, Big Ten action on Fox, or at least one team. Army against Ohio State. That went from 51 to 53 the other day. Hasn't budged. 53 still the number. And I also checked in. I talked to somebody in Vegas, and they told me that for this game, the total, pretty rare for an Ohio State game, very little action on the total. So that's for whatever that's worth. That's kind of what's going on here. I'm going over. I'm going just a slight lean over the 53. I think Ohio State will get that offense kind of rolling and stuff like that. But the interesting part here is that when we talked about this the other day, it was 60% on the over. It's down to 21% by bettors. So the action since has all been on the under. I mean, Ohio State can certainly shut down Army, but I don't know. I like the over, because I think they'll get some points, kind of get things going a little bit. Ohio State will, and I think they'll take care of business on that one. Next is going to be on the Pac-12 network, Oregon State against Washington State. Now that the Cougars went from 17.5 up to 20.5, or 21.5, excuse me. It's come back down to an even 3 touchdowns on this one. So Washington favored by 3. I think the Cougars are just going to come out and just thrash Oregon State. I think the Beavers stink, okay? I think they're a lousy team. I think they're just going to get whipped yet again. Next, let's see here. Next up, we have Idaho and Western Michigan. Not exactly a marquee matchup, mind you, but the line on this one went from 16.5 to 20.5 on Western Michigan, and basically it stayed there. You know, there's been a few slight variance here or there, but just essentially it's there. I think Western Michigan is going to be the play. Idaho is terrible, as I mentioned the other day. You know, losing to UNLV by 26, I think it was. They're not a good team. So I think Western Michigan gets their offense kind of back in gear. It looks sharp again. Finally, last game, Kansas State, Vanderbilt. This total went from 50.5 down to 48.5. It's bounced back up to, well, a little variance here, 49.5 to 50.5, depending on the sports book. So you know, not tight like you normally see it. Originally, I thought this game had a 27 to 24 or type of feel to it. You know, maybe a little bit different in Kansas State's favor. I'm going to stick with that. I like the over in that. So that's everything I got. Check out one other thing. I posted on the website with this article, and this video will be on there too, is the what the public's betting on. Okay, I got the top 5 public bets in terms of numbers, both the side and the total, along with the records to date for the season. So check that out. So hey, this is Doug Upstone. I will be back tomorrow with the NFL. I will not be dressed up like this because I'll be watching football as soon as that's done. So we'll do it, tee it up again tomorrow. NFL, we'll go through the same thing. So good luck with your college football picks. We'll see you then, because as of right now, I am out.